A man sentenced today for killing a woman in a city bus. He strangled her. This happened back on May 6th, 27th Avenue and Baseline in South Phoenix.
The crime led to a 4-day manhunt to find the killer. Fox 10's Brian Webb is live downtown tonight with the details. Brian.
Well, the judge gave Joshua Bagley the maximum 40 years in prison for second-degree murder and kidnapping after Bagley agreed to a plea deal to avoid a death penalty trial.
41-year-old Diane Craig, known as Bubbles, was riding a Phoenix City bus the morning of May 6, 2022, sitting toward the back. But so was then 26-year-old Joshua Bagley, the only two riders on the bus.
Couldn't have done nothing else but admit it, because he was guilty. He was guilty. He did it. So, to me, I knew it was coming.
Prosecutors say Bagley, with a long criminal history, wrapped the straps of a bag around her neck, squeezing the life out of the young mother who died at the hospital. Then Bagley simply stepped off the bus and walked away until police found him 4 days later.
She was amazing. She was an amazing sister. She was loving. We had a big family. Like she loves to have fun, laugh, and she was the life of the party.
He should never have been released. This man should have been behind bars, and if the bus driver and the county would have done their job, Diane Craig would still be alive today.
The bus driver said he heard a commotion toward the back of the bus, but didn't find the body until he took a bathroom break. Several family members expressed anger today, feeling they'd been cheated out of a trial.
I don't believe the plea deal that he received wasn't enough for us. I mean, it's 40 years. Like, my sister only lived to be 41 years old. So he's like living. She doesn't have the opportunity to be 80 years old. The years he's going to end up living in prison.
Bagley, now nearly 29, apologized to the Craig family in court today, saying he didn't know what he was doing at the time, implying he was on drugs, and saying that he should not be let out of prison for what he did. The Craig family has also filed a civil suit against the bus company. Live downtown, I'm Brian Webb, Fox 10 News.
Brian, thanks. A months-long fraud investigation leads to the arrest of a man on federal child sex trafficking charges.
This all began when police spotted 31-year-old George Keith Mosley leaving a Scottsdale hotel with a teenage girl who happened to be missing from out of state. Lindsay Regis joins us live now with the latest on this case.
John and Christina, the good news here is that the teenage girl was reunited with her family. As for Mosley, he faces 20 felony counts of child sex trafficking crimes.
31-year-old George Keith Mosley was on the Scottsdale Police Department's radar after investigators say he used a fraudulent credit card to book hotels this summer.
In doing that investigation, they recognized signs that there possibly was involvement with human trafficking. They made contact with this subject who was with a juvenile female.
Investigators kept digging and tied Mosley to child sex trafficking cases across multiple states. He was in court this week facing 20 felony counts.
The allegations are quite concerning. It is alleged that the defendant groomed and recruited the minor. In this case, the minor came from out of state to Arizona for the purposes of prostitution.
Sergeant Andrew Parrott, a detective in the Human Exploitation and Trafficking Unit, says the investigation spanned from May to July.
He did online recruiting, which we talk about all the time. And she was a juvenile from a different state, and he had found her through social media and recruited her and offered her a life that obviously wasn't going to be.
Mosley's lengthy criminal history out of Chicago was mentioned in court before a bond was set.
He was charged with murder, involuntary manslaughter, reckless homicide, as well as obstructing identification and obstructing justice. He does also have multiple failure to appears.
A judge set Mosley's bond at $400,000 cash only. Coming up at 9, we hear what Mosley asked the judge before his bond was set. Reporting live, Lindsay Regis, Fox 10 News.
Some good news for college football fans.
American Airlines adding new flights to bowl games across the country. These flights for games coming up this month will include an extra flight December 31st from Phoenix to Atlanta to the Peach Bowl. That's ASU against whoever is the winner of Clemson and Texas. And then we've got an extra flight on January 1st to get the fans home. Tickets for the extra flights are on sale right now. Southwest is also adding 2 flights to and from the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. 2 departing flights leave Phoenix December 31st. 2 additional flights returning January 1st after the game.
Stargazers are in for a treat tonight. That's because one of the strongest meteor showers of the year will peak. It's the Geminids meteor shower. And meteorologist Crystal Ortiz shows us what we can expect to see in the Arizona sky.
Hey guys, we're here in our virtual weather lab. Might not look like much now, but let's bring the outside indoors because we're talking the Geminid meteor shower. And if we're talking about the Geminid meteor shower, then we've got to light up the studio and bring those meteors right into view. Check it out. This looks pretty cool. So let's discuss the timing of the meteor shower. It's considered one of the best and most reliable for a couple of reasons. Best because it's usually a very active meteor shower. Most reliable because it's long. It starts in November and lasts through December, and it always peaks right around this time of year. And tonight into tomorrow morning is when we're going to see that peak of most activity, which means it's your best opportunity to catch a glimpse of some of those shooting stars. But there's a few things you should take into consideration if you are planning on getting outside. First off is, how do you get to see these meteors tonight? You don't need any special equipment. You don't need a telescope. You don't need binoculars. In fact, that would limit your scope of view, and you don't want to limit being able to see everything around you. Instead, the recommendation is to just lay on down somewhere where you can get a good view of the sky, keep your feet to the south, and look on up. Now, the other thing is, especially for us in the valley, you want to get away from the city lights, the light pollution as it's called. That means that if you can, go to a dark sky area like Flagstaff. That's absolutely your best bet to catch a glimpse. But if you can't, I know it's a drive, go to somewhere like, say, Apache Junction or Black Canyon City outside of Surprise, areas where you're not going to be as much in the center of the city lights. If you have perfect conditions, which would include the moon setting while this is happening, then you could see up to 120 of those meteors per hour. That would be a peak perfect condition situation. But for you to have perfect conditions, as I mentioned, you need the moon to not be a problem. And I hate to say it, but the moon will be a problem for us tonight because the moon is full this Sunday. So this weekend, it's at its biggest and its brightest. That means the glow of the moon, as you can see all around me, is going to dull some of the view of those meteors during the shower peaking overnight tonight. With regard to the moon dulling the glow, you also have to worry about any cloud coverage issues. So let's take a look at the forecast because there will be some clouds starting to move in. Good news is it's not the whole night. So if you're still hoping to get out and catch some of these meteors, the best bet would be, say, past 9, 10 o'clock tonight. It's a long period that you can catch all the way into the early morning hours. But as you can see in Apache Junction, by about 2 a.m., starting to see some of those clouds move in. Chilly at 48. And in Flagstaff, make sure you grab the coat because it will be in the 20s out there if you're heading out for the show.